Hi, everybody, and welcome to Teliko Vima English, our class series on obstacles in learning English. And we're going to begin right now in this overview today. My name is Jonathan, and I'm not just your host. I'm a part of this wonderful community in Teliko Vima English, and I'm happy to have you here with us tonight. Hi, everybody. We're going to begin this series because, as I share with live streaming every day on Hello Talk, we have people who ask us time and time again about the way to learn English faster. How can we learn English better? How can we overcome these obstacles? And many obstacles are perceived, and some obstacles are real, meaning some are just from your perspective or from your personality or things like this, while others are actual, but there's still a way to overcome them. And so the hope is in this series, we will get together and each Saturday night, Pacific Standard Time at 8 p.m., we will spend time together and we will reveal the way around, through, over, under, whatever it takes to get into these issues that slow people's progress or even prevent them in some cases from learning English the way they want to. Many of you have to learn English. Some of you really, really want to learn English. And then, of course, there's a combination of the two. You have to, but you also want to. Some people have families and have jobs already going on. Some are still active in college. Some haven't maybe even begun college yet. And so there's many dynamics here to affect your ability to grow into this new world of English language. And our objective with Teliko in Teliko Vima English is to help you to overcome those obstacles and to do it in a way that you can see the progress and experience the progress. So we'll be starting this series, and this is just an overview tonight to touch on each of the slides briefly. Maybe there'll be some questions and answers at the end for those of you who are in the chat who are joining us. And it may take a few weeks to get people to realize we are going to hold this. And don't worry, after this series, we'll have another series lined up, and it will be our time together on Saturday night, Las Vegas time. So thank you again for joining us. And as we go into each slide, I'll briefly describe the content of the slide and some potential areas that we could talk about within that title of the slide. And then, like I said, next Saturday, we will start with the first slide and we will break it down, the reality of it versus the perception of it, and ways that you can overcome it. So that's our objective, and thank you guys for joining us. There are both real and perceived obstacles in learning English, like we said. And some of the real obstacles are to follow right now. Perceived means you think they're there, but they're not really there, or they're based on your personality and your perception, but not a lot of substance. So therefore, if we are able to alter the way you see it, you should alleviate the perceived obstacles. The real obstacles, like I said, we're going to start with this next slide, and we're going to start discussing what some of the real obstacles could be. And maybe they're for you too. The first slide, or the first thing we will talk about starting next Saturday night, is the lack of access to quality resources. As we live stream all the time, every day on an app called Hello Talk, you can follow us there and join us for our live streams every day. Some people do not have good quality internet when they're joining us on Hello Talk. Some are limited in other ways. Even though there are many online resources, they may not have high-speed internet. And in some countries, they actually limit the data. Even if you can purchase it, you're still limited in how much data you can use. So that's a very real obstacle. And you might not even have quality books. audio materials, as we talked about, podcasts, which, by the way, Teliko Vima English has a podcast as well on Spotify, and it goes by Teliko Vima English or Truly Pivotal Moments. You may not have access to language courses, and that's why we stand behind Hello Talk. That is our hub. It's where we really enjoy being. Hello Talk is an amazing app. Most of it is accessible for free. And then if you want to go deeper or have more access, the fees are very respectable. And so we meet on Hello Talk live streaming every single day, and we talk for about 1 or 2 hours, various topics to promote fluency. And so, not having access to these resources can definitely impede the progress of those trying to learn English. I don't know what your particular obstacle is, but I'd be interested in knowing. So please go ahead and feel comfortable with commenting here or comment on the video if you're watching this after the live stream, and let us know some of your real and or perceived obstacles in learning English. Another real obstacle is limited exposure to the language, meaning if you don't have the opportunity to hear or speak English on a regular basis, it can be challenging to become proficient in the language. That makes sense, right? I meet people who have very functional English and it sounds great. They might have an accent, but that's okay. Accents are awesome, everybody. But they don't have enough time with other people to speak English. Maybe it's frowned upon or not popular in their country to utilize the English language, but it's still a very real advantage if you know how to speak English. Um, or they just live in a part of their country where there aren't not many foreigners, meaning people who speak English. Well, we're going to talk about creative ways to overcome even this obstacle. Hello Talk is one of them, and we'll go a little deeper in that as the week comes up, where this slide is the main focus of the live stream. Limited exposure to the language, there are ways to overcome that. And like I said, Hello Talk, look up that app because that app is growing exponentially. Whomever they have behind the scenes, whatever team they've assembled, is actually growing that channel or that app in a very aggressive and very cool way. All right. Difficulty in understanding English grammar. Difficulty in understanding English grammar. Well, you're not alone. I'm a native English speaking person. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is in the west on the west coast of our country, and I've lived here my whole life. I'm not in Las Vegas, but in the country. And frankly, the English grammar is even confusing for me. I didn't fare well in this regard, but over the course of my life, I've learned how to communicate more effectively, and I see patterns and I understand things now that I didn't for most of my life. And of course, by interacting with all of you on a regular basis, I'm having to study and learn these things so that I can explain them to you. I think English is one of the hardest languages, not because it is of a high level of structure per se, but I believe English is a very difficult language because of the inconsistencies in the rules. There are so many inconsistencies in the rules of English that are confusing for natives. I can only imagine what it must be like for those of you who are trying to learn this or that have to learn it. And so we're hoping through our time together on Hello Talk and our weekly time here and even on TikTok that we will help you to overcome these obstacles, that we will excite your passion about this language if it's a language that you enjoy or like the sound of or think is really cool. And even those of you who feel you have to learn it but you don't want to, but you have to. Hopefully, through community connections, you will develop an increased desire for English. And when you have that increased desire for English, you may apply yourself more. You may be energized to do it more often. And we're going to talk about some of those things as well. Now, pronunciation. English pronunciation can be challenging for non native speakers as the language has many different sounds and pronunciation rules. It's kind of a piggyback onto the back of what we were saying, that the structure and the rules of English are extremely difficult because they're inconsistent. Even when I talk with English teachers that have done it for many years, they find that the rules, there's little catchy things you can memorize to try to know the rules better, but the rules is so complicated, and pronunciation is one of those things. If you come from a country that doesn't have some of our sounds, it can be more of a challenge for you. And in this overview, as we mentioned, some of these very real obstacles and some perceived obstacles, each week we're going to go deeper into the reality or the perception of those obstacles and help you to overcome it. It's going to be okay. Just keep joining us here. And if you don't make it live, then you can follow up on our channel and see this video as well as the many videos we have on idioms and other crazy things with the English language. Another very real obstacle is cultural barriers. Cultural barriers. We mentioned this earlier, that some cultures do not promote the English language, or there's such a strong culture that they require that you always speak within your language. And again, that's okay. We like culture, we like community. We think it's amazing, especially given that we do not have a consistent culture per se in the United States. The cultural barriers, some learners may struggle with the cultural differences between their native language and English. And this can make it difficult for them to understand the idioms. Now, if you go to our YouTube channel and on our TikTok channel, we do talk about different idioms. You guys know what an idiom is, right? Idioms are expressions that are very illustrative, but if you try to break them down literally, idioms can be confusing, and you're trying to understand them like killing two birds with one stone. If someone told you that, let's focus and become more productive, and we'll be able to kill two birds with one stone, that would throw you off as a new English learner, or even as someone who has studied it. Idioms like there's more than one way to skin a cat, or I'm trying to think of some other idioms that are very common. We use a lot of idiom language, and we break that down in our channel, in our YouTube channel, and in our TikTok channel to help you to understand them better. And so having an understanding of idioms can be very useful and very important for the English language. Welcome, Elizabeth from the Philippines. The next thing that we will be talking about are the perceived obstacles. Now, we talked about basic overview of the actual or the real obstacles that you could experience in learning English. Now we're going to just touch on a few slides that are perceived obstacles. So real obstacles are there, right? Like we talked about culture, about the inability to talk with native people in using English, and some of the other dynamics, no access to resources or live stream Wi-Fi. These are very real, physical, tangible obstacles. The next category we're going to get into are perceived obstacles. They're not as concrete as real, and they're based largely on the way you see things. This again is just an overview, and each Saturday evening, Las Vegas time, 8 p.m., whatever time that is in your country right now, we're going to break down each one of these obstacles and give you some tips and guidance in how to overcome them. And again, if you don't have Wi-Fi to watch this live, then you may be watching it now as a rerun or a replay on our channel. That's totally fine. Whatever works for you guys. Fear of making mistakes. This is a perceived obstacle. You are so afraid of making mistakes. Many learners may be afraid of making mistakes when they speak English, which can hinder their progress and make them hesitant to even practice because they're so afraid of making mistakes. And briefly, when I talk with people now, they're talking about using AI for their language partner. And I believe AI is amazing and it's very helpful in teaching tools, creating quick lesson plans or examples. But I would strongly discourage defaulting to utilizing AI chat as a form of dialogue as far as your practice time goes. Again, we talked about Hello Talk, which is a great app that has real people on it, people who want to dialogue with you. And since we live stream every day on Hello Talk with different topics, and I post many things on there, there is ample opportunity and ample resource material that I produce and publish there that you can use in creating a small group of your own. Now, groups are free on Hello Talk. You can create your own group, meaning you can assemble people together that have the same level or a similar level or goals, or they live in the same region where it's easier to bring you all together to do this. And so this is a perceived obstacle. It means you're so afraid that you don't even try or consider that there are things to help you to overcome this. Let me give you a little example. If you do not apply your courage, everyone has a measure of courage. And if you do not apply your courage to your feared situation, then the fear will grow. Does that make sense? If you don't apply your courage to the feared situation, then your courage will not grow, but the fear will grow. Here's another thing. If you apply your courage and you overcome your fear, you gain experience. And experience increases your confidence. And your confidence acts like a resource of immunizing you against fear. Let me say it again. If you do not apply your courage to what you're afraid of, then your fear will grow and your courage will not. You will not gain experience, and therefore you will always be afraid. And we're talking about the fear of making mistakes, the fear of practicing and failing. So if you apply your courage, you gain experience, and as your experience goes up, the ability of fear to affect you is going to decrease. And that's just a free one right now. We will reiterate this when we visit this topic again. But fear is only a perceived obstacle. It is not a real obstacle. We just talked about that lack of confidence. Learners may lack confidence in their ability to learn English, especially if they have had negative experiences with the language in the past. During this overview right now, we're in the slides that are talking about perceived obstacles in learning. We did an overview of real obstacles like Wi-Fi or books or resources or opportunities to practice English or cultural barriers, to name a few. And now we're talking about perceived obstacles. This lack of confidence, I think it's worth repeating. You get confidence when you have experience. If you're afraid and you don't gain experience, you will lack confidence. Can you see how all this works together, right? If you apply your courage and overcome your fear, then you will gain confidence because you gain experience, and then you will not give way to fear as easily in the future. I hope that makes sense with you. If it makes sense with you, you can say something in the chat, but I know it does ring true with most of you. And we're going down this slide series here briefly as an overview. So don't worry if you just got here. This will be posted on our YouTube channel, and you will be able to experience the overview before next Saturday, same time, 8 p.m. Las Vegas time or LA time. In the United States, it's called Pacific Standard Time. We will be getting together every week at this time for 30 minutes to an hour to discuss some of these things in depth. And so make sure you put it on your calendar and you come here, because you will be able to join us live when we will have questions and answers through the chat at the end of each of those episodes. If you're here now, stay with us. We may have questions and answers at the end of the next 2 slides that I have, and you can kind of prime it for when we get together next week, all right? I do welcome Elizabeth from the Philippines. I hope you're able to stay with us and still be here. Thank you for joining us, sister. Anxiety. Well, all of these things go together, don't they? Anxiety. Some learners may experience anxiety when speaking English, which can affect their ability to learn and communicate effectively. Now, is anyone out there, have you experienced anxiety when you're using your English? Well, let me tell you, I experience anxiety when I'm trying to speak Spanish. I've had Spanish friends my whole life. I've learned enough phrases that can help me to communicate. I can pick out the words, but I haven't studied it. And now I work in a great job where I'm interacting with people who speak this wonderful language every day, and they're learning that I know it or know of it, and they're starting to give me numbers in Spanish. And I feel the anxiety, but I also feel how welcoming they are. And the same with English. When you speak your English, we will welcome you, I welcome you, and we will help you through it, right? So having anxiety is a perception, means the anxiety changes the way you see things and hear things and cause you to start sweating. You need to apply your courage to your fear to gain experience so your anxiety will come down. With experience comes confidence, and you'll no longer be afraid of the people or the situations or the circumstances, and you'll use your English more. Let me share something with you. I speak a few phrases in Chinese and some other languages. Nothing to be impressed by, guys. I can just pronounce languages fairly easily, so I memorize a few phrases. I think languages are amazing. And if I go up, I had a customer recently, I could tell they spoke Chinese because I recognized the accent. And I asked them, what language do you speak? And they were so determined not to talk with me because of fear. Like, no, thank you. No. And so I went away and I came back and I had learned a few more phrases in Chinese and Mandarin. And I went up and I said it. And when I said it, you saw the wife became relaxed right away. It's an older couple, retired couple. And then finally the husband heard me and he said, oh, and he said in Mandarin, do you speak Mandarin? And I said, "一点点," like I speak a little bit. And that's an stretching it out. But they immediately became very relaxed and he started using the English he knew. So I want to encourage you guys, when you speak English with me or any other natives, you're going to be welcomed. Just like when I try to speak Spanish to anyone from Latin America or even from Spain, they always welcome me, okay? So this anxiety is a perception, guys. It's not a reality. If you talk with us, come to Hello Talk, the language app, or join us here, say something in the chat, because we will be meeting every Saturday night here, and we'll go a little deeper in it. Those of you who are just joining us, thanks for coming by. Come on in the chat. Don't be shy. Drop some lines in there. We may have a brief question and answer here in just a few minutes. So thank you for joining us. Another perception in learning English are negative attitudes toward learning. Now, we talked about this in the beginning. Again, guys, in the chat, if I'm talking too fast for you, let me know, okay? So another perception is the negative attitudes. Could be yours. It could be your perception that other people are going to treat you negatively. Or it says here, learners may have negative attitudes towards learning English. For example, You know that within your country, learning English can level you up. Learning English can help you to get promoted or get a better job, get into that university you want, or even travel to an English speaking country. But you don't like the language. Maybe you don't like the rules. I don't like the rules of English. They're crazy and complicated and contradictory. So when I'm trying to explain this to people, they're like, well, I don't know all the answers, but I do know this. If it will give you an advantage or increase your opportunity for you or your family, that's why Teliko Vima English is here. We want to help you to overcome these obstacles, real and perceived. And we want to do it for free, guys. So if you join us here on YouTube, that's great. If you join us on our WeChat group, we have a study group there. That's awesome. If you want to join us on Hello Talk every day, we live stream for at least 2 hours. Come join us there. Wherever it works out for you, or if you just want to watch our videos on YouTube, we have over 30, maybe 40 videos now. We're growing based on what your need is. And so even if you don't like English, but you have to learn it, come on, let's work together. Let's increase it. I share this with everybody. In order to continue to learn and endure in your learning process, you have to have a balance. Of course, you need to be challenged, but you have to have a level of enjoyment too. And so if you don't have a level of enjoyment and you're just learning, you're going to get burned out, right? If you're playing too much, you're just watching episodes of Friends, which is a great tool for learning. But if all you are doing is watching Friends, I don't think you're spending a lot of focused time learning. So you can watch Friends and be an active watcher and write down some stuff. We'll talk more about that. But you need a balance between learning and overcoming obstacles and having fun. And so we want to help you to have fun and learn. Teliko Vima English, what does it mean? Teliko Vima just means final step. It's a Greek phrase. And so you'll find if you can just remember Teliko and type it in on YouTube, Vima English comes up. We're the only one, right? So today, guys, I'm glad there's a few more of you joining us. Go ahead and share this with your friends either now or about next Saturday. We're going to be getting together. And of course, comment on our videos, and we will shape our lessons and our videos based on what you need. Let's do a quick recap before we close here, the things that we've talked about in case you guys are just joining us. We talked about the obstacles that are real and perceived in learning English. Real means very tangible. Perceived means it's the way you see it. Quickly, we'll go over these again. Lack of access to quality resources. Well, we're here to help you to gain access to resources, whether it be books or podcasts, or live streams or videos. We're trying to be on every venue. Even if you know people that live in China, we are on 2 apps there. We are on Bilibili and we are on Redbook in China. And of course, we have a WeChat group that I post videos on as I post things on YouTube. If you have limited exposure to the language, we're going to give you tips and tricks on how to get exposed to it more in your community. If you're in different states in the United States or even in other countries, many of them have a place called Chinatown. If you were practicing any of those languages, you could go there and experience it. Well, you might have an American hub or an English-speaking environment or area of your country or your city. Go there and practice. Or you can come to Hello Talk, where we all practice every day together. Difficulty in understanding English grammar, we're going to help you get over that too. Keep joining us. Pronunciation, well, I've been learning how to unlock how to pronounce things for you guys. So again, join us here. Give me input on what you need and let us shape our channel to meet your needs. Cultural barriers, we talked about being a very real hindrance to your growth and development, and we'll go deeper into each one of these every Saturday night. This is just an overview tonight. And then, of course, we talked about perceived obstacles such as fear of making mistakes, lack of confidence, and anxiety about learning English. The final one is negative attitudes towards learning English. Well, Teliko Vima English is our name. We have 2 podcasts. One is called Teliko Vima English. We just started that one. It's just an audio help on Spotify. The other one is called Truly Pivotal Moments. Truly Pivotal Moments. You can find us on Spotify with 50 or 60 live streams, podcast episodes there for you to learn. And we also have TikTok. We do live streams there periodically, but our focus has been Hello Talk everyday live streaming, and now YouTube once a week, plus more videos on YouTube. So help us to help you. It's a catchy phrase. We want to see you develop and grow in your English. Feel free to reach out to us. We do respond to comments. And we have other live streamers and other YouTube channels that we would recommend to you if you need different structure or different guidance. So reach out to us. Let us be the key that unlocks your future. We have another expression, make the world your classroom. Ask me about that one. And whether it be me or Yen, who just joined us, we will help you to overcome these obstacles and teach you about making the world your classroom. Now, Yen says in the chat, everything's created from our mind. If you think English is difficult, then it will be difficult. Absolutely. In that regard, I agree with you that the way you perceive it can be and affect your reality in learning it. So right now, if you guys happen to have questions in the chat, we can entertain a few of those. We've been here about 30 minutes in this live stream. If you have any questions, if not, then what I would ask you to do is to share this. Of course, like it and share this with people to show them what's coming up in the following Saturdays. Same time every week. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Las Vegas or Los Angeles time, also known as Pacific Standard Time, PST. So set your clocks. Or if you don't make it here, you won't be able to give us questions live, but you can watch this and get the overview on our channel and see what's coming up next. Without any further delay, this has been Teliko Vima English. Again, we're on Hello Talk, we're on TikTok, we're on podcasts as Truly Pivotal Moments, and we are on Billy and also on Redbook and WeChat. So reach out to us in the comments and ask us about those channel names or those environments, and we'll be sure to get back to you. I hope everybody has enjoyed this time together. I definitely have. And my name is Jonathan, and I look forward to talking with you again next week or in the comment section of our channel videos. Take care of one another, and we'll see you soon.